Okay, so this is going to be an very interesting episode here on Double Dose of Raw Talk podcast with your host, Miss D. Um, have it if you call it a bonus, but for me, it's not a bonus at all. Should not be the purpose to it. So by now, you would probably know what I've decided to title it because at this very moment that I'm recording, I haven't quite made up my mind, but I know what the purpose is to this episode. And as you guys all know, the purpose to this show, the platform that I bring to this table and this microphone is raw talk. And with such a heavy topic that we have in our hands, not just in one city, in plenty of states and right now all across the nation, I wanted to bring to the table as one of my segments is as raw as it gets, the news, the controversies, the argument, debate, and the shit that we see today through social media. On this platform, I do present these two segments and we're going to bring it together, but we're going to focus it on getting as raw as it gets because we, as in all of us, cannot be silent and we cannot stay silent. I am joined today by someone who I've had the pleasure to meet and learn of through social media, through the podcast industry, very much so through mutual friend. Um, you know, has been on another podcast, but now you already know which podcast this is because I rock with that podcast. So I'm not even going to say that part. But if there's one thing that Miss D likes when it comes to her purpose of Raw Talk is someone who has a voice and someone who's not afraid to voice out what they are thinking, what they are seeing, and what they are saying. So I would like to give the opportunity for my guests today to introduce themselves to you guys. And we're going to continue the necessary conversation to what the purpose of this episode is. So, my guest, please introduce yourself.
Hello, everybody. My name is Amyr with a Y, not an I. Get that right. Also on Instagram, I'm probably known as Big Sis _energy. Usually, you'll see me on there under that moniker. But more or less, my name is Amyr,
Yes.
and I'm here.
Yes, Amyr is here with me joining. I will, of course, as always, tag their contact information, Amyr's contact information on the show description in case you would want to be interested in following Amyr and Amyr's stand on all of this and also continue conversation. From what I know with Amyr is always up for conversation at all costs and all purpose.
Yes.
So thank you so much for coming today to my platform to discuss this. And without any further ado and no further secret, the purpose to this discussion today is the very brutal, disturbing, and disgusting murder of George Floyd. I'm not going to sugarcoat what we saw. That is exactly what it is. It was the murder of a man who right before my eyes, and I don't, did you see the whole video, Amyr?
I've saw multiple videos. So
okay.
I don't think I saw the full one that was mainly circulating because it probably was a clip from it.
Okay.
But I've seen multiple videos from multiple angles and everything.
Multiple angles. I'm glad Amyr just said that because we're definitely going to dive into that in a little later of this episode. I saw the first one that came out where it's just his face. So it only looks like there's one officer standing and just the one that had his knee on his neck. I did not see that there was two more officers standing over him, hurting this man while he's dying a very slow death. So I'm not sure if Amyr knows this about me, but I'm going to say it to some of my listeners. If you're just for the first time tuning in, I do work in healthcare. And so being in healthcare, the simple fact that when you're walking around in a street, in any public place or at any given moment, and you hear someone say, I can't breathe, the first instinct anyone has is to go help them, is to see how can we help this person who's saying, I can't breathe, oh, my stomach hurts, oh, my chest hurts, is to see what's wrong with them. To provide them aid at that moment and to save their life. Because usually when you hear those things, is someone is struggling and they're probably hurt and they're probably dying. And that's exactly what we witnessed. The video that I saw, in my eyes, I saw a man turning blue and losing consciousness. I saw a man, slowly his voice was fainting. And his eyes were just completely shut and then they completely closed. That's what I saw. It wasn't until maybe a day ago that I saw the different angle. And I said, oh, fuck, shit. There was two more police officers fucking killing
Mm-hmm.
this man also all the way down to the rest of his fucking body.
Mm-hmm.
And it was disgusting. There's a word we use in healthcare when it comes to providing care for an entire experience. It's called empathy.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things I'm very much so struggling right now with Amir is considering that we just quote unquote survived a whole fucking pandemic. It is incredible to me how suddenly empathy went out the fucking window and we went right back to the bullshit. And right.
I don't think I ever came back, let alone to go out the window. I probably was in the vicinity for white people,
Oh,
but
thank
I
you.
don't believe empathy has been around, even during quarantine, during the whole, COVID-19 stay in the house. Because what have you heard? First, the Black community, we weren't aware of how it struck the Black community.
Mm,
And I've
mm,
generalized that for everyone. So when I say Black, I mean Latinx, minority, period. We didn't
mm,
know how it was affecting us because the numbers on the screen was showing us reflections of certain things and giving
mm-hmm,
us information on elders, but not
mm.
pertaining to specifically the race that they follow.
Right.
So genuinely, we didn't even know. So of course, then you start seeing pictures of, oh, well, people are outside in the park, they're getting free masks. Why? Because they're in the Lower East Side, and guess what? They're white. But you
Mm-hmm,
go up to Harlem, and then you find out people are just standing outside their apartment building where they live, and they're
mm-hmm.
being bum rushed, tackled, knocked to the ground, all for not wearing a mask or for not social distancing.
Right.
But it's like all this is going on simultaneously.
Mm-hmm,
So
mm-hmm.
I don't ever believe for cops that empathy was embodied, period. Especially like you said, in the healthcare field,
Yeah.
when anybody in the healthcare field hears someone say, I cannot breathe, what's the first thing they do? Make sure that the passageway is available for you to actually get air into your body, see
Yeah.
everything is not constricted or anything. They do that. This man didn't. So
Yeah.
that I understand. I saw that video first.
Yeah.
Then I saw the video from the other angle. Then I saw another video specifically from the restaurant that was located on the corner,
Mm,
where they initially got him, handcuffed him, and he complied with everything. They
mm,
took him to the side, they put him down on the sidewalk, sat him down there. He was literally handcuffed and everything. He did everything they wanted him to do.
mm-hmm,
Then another video leaks out where they're beating on him in the car before they actually got him to the floor to
mm.
to kill him, I guess. I'm not even going
Yes.
to say any other way. Kill
Yeah.
him. I was going to say
Yeah.
choke,
Kill him.
but kill
No,
him.
no.
Yes.
Kill. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So at this point, it's like you've seen multiple angles, multiple views. How is it we're only targeting this one cop saying he's
Mm,
involved? No, it was 4 of y'all involved in it all together. So it's 3 more people that need to be held accountable. So literally, it just wasn't in the first initial video. We saw all of them. We just saw one. So of course,
mm-hmm.
it's him, it's him, it's him. No. Now that you see the rest of the videos, you're starting to understand, okay. But even that, you would think if a cop sees somebody with their knee on someone's neck, they're going to be like, hey, bro, move your knee. Or back up, he said he can't breathe.
Mm.
Something to allow them to remove themselves from doing further harm to that
Right.
person that they're trying to apprehend.
Mm.
But no, they just stood around and watched.
Yeah.
And it takes 4 of y'all to apprehend one man.
One.
So that shows you the spark of fear that a black man, let alone a tall, brown, dark black man, it sparks all this fear inside of you just from his presence alone.
It was
And
like
then to
he.
find out,
No,
no,
no.
go
Go
ahead.
ahead, Amir. Go ahead. Go ahead. You can finish.
It's just like it doesn't make sense of the fact that he still didn't do anything illegal.
Right.
The whole reason why the police were called on him was because of a check.
Right.
That found out the check was actually okay. So now, in turn, comes into the fact that whoever owns the store that called the cops,
Mm.
now you're a little bit liable for something because you called the
Agreed.
cops for what?
Agreed. Agreed.
Like, I don't get it.
Agreed. No, you're absolutely
Yeah.
right. What really struck me also with this whole scenario with him, is this man actually didn't get shot. So
Mm-hmm.
there was opportunity there. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? Like, but when I did see the other angle, he was getting beat. He was
Mm-hmm.
totally getting beat. So y'all didn't shoot him. There was opportunity to just arrest this man until y'all
Mm-hmm.
investigate whatever the fuck it is y'all had to investigate.
Mm-hmm.
And you still killed him. You still
Mm-hmm.
figured out a way that all four of you had to do it, because listen, you're not going to tell me that just because the officer who was looking to the onlookers, in case you guys didn't see the video, that officer was an Asian looking man. I'm going to say Asian looking because I cannot confirm yet what specific country he's
Yes.
from. So Asian looking
Mm-hmm.
man, the simple fact that he chose not to look back to help makes him equally guilty. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
It was very fucking atrocious to see how this fucking thing happened. There was actually a woman who got close and said she was with the fire department. She was a first responder, and she kept challenging them and saying, "Give me a pulse. Give me a pulse," she kept saying. And they
Mm-hmm.
refused to check him for a pulse. So that's where my confusion is. Again, seeing it from a healthcare perspective, right? If we're gonna
Mm-hmm.
sit here and we're gonna, let me just begin with this and get it out the fucking way, because then I'm gonna go full throttle on everything else. If just so remotely thinking as a first fucking responder, right? And we're supposed to care for everybody, regardless,
Mm-hmm.
regardless of their background, whatever the case may be. We're supposed to care for everybody and provide aid. That part right there is the part that I literally started fucking crying when I watched the fucking video, because it was amazing that this man could not even be treated as a human being to check his pulse and see what was happening to him, to provide him
Mm-hmm.
with the appropriate aid at that moment.
Mm-hmm.
Now that I got this shit out of my system, I'm going to tuck away the fact that I am in healthcare, and I'm going to talk as just Ms. D and as a regular person. Um, Before anything else, I do identify as Latina. And while I am a fairly light skinned Latina, I am someone who has been able to find an identity of being a person of color, but just a lighter color, because I'm always going to be conscious of all these different privileges that fall into all these different shades of skin color. I'm always going to be
Correct.
conscious of
Correct.
that.
Mm-hmm.
But nevertheless, and let's not go so far, there was something that you did share that I told you about it. It did touch me. And it was waiting to see. It was something along the lines of you waiting to see of your Latino friends, what are they saying on this? And I want to speak on this a little bit. And if you would share a little bit deeper with me, why is it that you posted that and what made you feel that way? And then I could share with you what is it that resonated with me.
Gotcha. So, disclaimer: I am of mixed race. I am Black on one
Yeah.
side from my father, and then my mother is Dominican and Puerto Rican. So
Yes.
I am generally a full-fledged minority. No matter how you look at it,
Yes.
I am of each race.
Yes.
So I struggled with duality in terms of, okay, the Latin community and the Black community. No matter what, I consider myself Black regardless. Either
Sure.
way, I'm Black because
Mm,
we all descended specifically from an African heritage, whatever.
mm,
But I'm Black.
mm,
So me knowing this, knowing that I have family on my mother's side who is specifically just Latin,
mm,
who probably don't identify themselves as Black, who
mm.
don't, see the spark to stand up, reach out, stand up, do something about it, protest. Necessarily, everyone doesn't have to be an activist and protest, but you
Mm.
can give your own form of contribution to the uprising in
Right.
society. So
Mm.
it's more or less, I sit back and look to see, okay, I went on a whole unfollowing spree,
I hear
watching
that.
everyone's timeline, looking to see, have you posted anything? Have you said anything? It doesn't even have to be about George Lucas specifically, but
Mm,
a form of, oh, I'm aware of what's going on and I want to do my part.
mm, mm.
Because I've had full conversations with all my friends, and it comes to the point where it's like, are you going to keep sitting around watching Netflix, enjoying the quarantine? Like, oh, well, that's going on out there. That's not coming on here. But at the
Mm.
end of the day, we are all a people. And if you allow an injustice to occur to a certain group of people, which you don't identify with, which you technically are, because if they group you together, they don't care. But
Amen.
you're just gonna allow it to keep happening and say, okay, well, that they Black, they're morenos. All right, whatever. What do you think you are to them?
Exactly.
You ain't nothing but a light skinned nigga that speaks Spanish.
Yeah.
So to them, they don't care.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, and to see the uproar of how Black people um stood in and stood up and preached and yelled about the fact of immigrant children being locked up in cages. You
Yes.
did not see full-fledged the Latin community in a general stand up. You heard them saying their part, But you saw on the front line, you saw Black people, especially Black women. I'm not even gonna say Black people, Black women specifically. You saw them standing up, yelling at this is an atrocity, speaking on it constantly, letting people know this is not right. So if they have the compassion, empathy, like you said, to sit there and stand up for that community, which we're all part of that same community regardless, but still stand up and preach about that, how can you not turn around and feel the same way about that? Exactly. Like, you should literally feel, okay, I am a part of the Black community. I need to say something. Like you said, with the word nigga, they'll be quick to say, oh, my nigga this, my nigga that. Oh, yeah, that's my homie, blah, blah, blah. But then turn around and your niggas is getting killed.
Right.
Where you at?
Right.
Nowhere to be found.
Right.
Sitting around fucking smoking hookah, because that's all I see on the timeline of what y'all doing. Cooking out and smoking hookah. And it's like, okay, so why do I need, what am I getting from you? What am I absorbing for you?
Right.
Nothing. So if I was to die tomorrow from the hands of the cops, you wouldn't even care. Or you would give a rest in peace and keep it moving.
Right. Right.
But heaven forbid something happened to you, I'm supposed to find compassion and empathy for me to just give it to you, which I will, because it would be sad to hear of anyone dying at the hands of a cop unlawfully, where it literally is just, it's murder. So it's like, I don't want to hear it. I'm going to stand up for it. I'm going to feel some sort of way. But sitting back and watching and seeing, it's like, I've unfollowed friends. I've unfollowed businesses, which I saw didn't provide any consolation towards the fight. I've unfollowed celebrities that I just felt like, okay, you're sitting back saying one thing, but you're not providing a assistance of how you're going to move forward. Saying, oh, rest in peace, George Floyd, does not mean shit to me.
Right.
That's a rest in peace. That's a condolence. That's not saying, oh, I'm here. Like, I literally had to watch videos of celebrities in LA at the protest, like on the ground. And if they're able to do it, then anybody can do it. So I don't want to hear shit. Mind you, they're there with no security.
Right.
In harm's way. So if they're able to walk around and do the stuff they got to do out here on the ground, then we all can do it.
We all can do it. You're absolutely right with it. And it's crazy that you said that, because my kid approached me and asked me, you know, Ma, have you ever thought of going out there and protesting? And I said to him, I said, you know, I have thought about it, but I won't lie to you, I've never actually done it.
Yesterday was almost my opportunity along with you. And I felt like, oh, I could have did it, but I didn't find out about it too late. Like, I found out about it probably at like 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock in the morning. It started at 12. And by that time, I had to like get myself together and arrange. I didn't even make it, which I felt bad about. But trust me, I still do my part, and I still will be there for the next one.
Yes.
I understand. You want to be there, but it's like sometimes even when you're not even notified about them, I don't see a big, like, something promoting it in a way so everyone can be understood about it and know what time to meet up and where to go.
Yeah.
It's literally last minute, like, you just got to go there.
Yeah. And
but at least he asked you about it. That's good.
Oh no, he has on his own just decided to do his own research. He has on his own decided to have his own conversation with his own preteen friends, which I just found out about this morning, because he stumbled over a video literally this morning, and it was right before I hit send to you with you know, the invitation to this meeting. And I said, well, what is this? And he's like, Ma, this kid got profiled and this officer's telling him, you didn't do the peace sign, you threw up a gang sign, so why don't you throw me up some gang signs? And he profiled the kid for being Black and assumed that he was a gang member. And my son decided to share that on his Snapchat. And he was just like, you know, he wrote a caption, and I looked at him and I said, well, hold on a second. Why are you writing this caption? He's like, well, because I think people need to understand what this video is about. I said, you don't need to explain what the video is about. A person should care to go watch the video. Don't give an explanation of what it is. Make a brief one-line statement. What is supposed to happen is people are supposed to want to understand what the fuck is going on, and they're supposed to want to go watch the video. They're supposed to want to educate themselves, because it's what you're doing and you're sharing this information. And I had that opportunity to talk to him a little bit more and to explain to him, because I think I've said this before once or twice, but my kid actually has an issue with who he is, because he is white. He looks white. He's not by any means that he is Ecuadorian and Puerto Rican. And he has a problem with it because he actually rejects it a little bit because of what goes on in this world. And so that's something that I've had to help him more so in the education piece of it all, I've had to help him understand where all my roots are, where his father's roots are. His father's Puerto Rican.
Mm-hmm.
I've had to help him understand a lot more, and rather than just, the whole rejecting piece, really empower the education piece.
Mm-hmm.
Because I do need him to understand where we're just looking on the outside, he is always going to have an upper hand and a privilege. And I need him
Yep.
to understand that. I'm always going to need him to understand that as a young man
Yep.
who has Black friends.
Mm-hmm.
I need him to know that. Because one day he's probably going to be on a step stool, right outside my house. And there could be a cop car passing by. He's going to be here with his boys and
Mm-hmm.
he's going to see some shit go down. And I don't need him to be surprised. And I need him to know what his friends' rights are and what his rights are and how he's supposed to
Mm-hmm.
be able to use that to help his friends.
Correct.
So there's a lot there that I feel it is my commitment. It is my
Mm-hmm.
duty. Knowing where I grew up, where it was something we talked about, it was very normal to throw out nigga this, nigga that, nigga this, nigga that in regular conversation. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That's what happens in the hood.
Mm-hmm.
That's where I grew up. I was raised there my entire life. And I'm not going to say I never say it still when I'm with my friends talking. I'm not going to say that
Mm-hmm.
because sometimes
Mm-hmm.
it does come out. But I do have a responsibility to be conscious of it. I have a
Mm-hmm.
responsibility that it shall no longer be that just common word to be used outside my block on my step stool, which is everybody. It
Correct.
should no longer continue being that because I'm a firm believer that respect begins somewhere. And
Mm-hmm.
if and I have a responsibility, um just like those Black mothers who came to defend all those immigrant children, I
Mm-hmm.
have a responsibility as a Latina mother to educate my child in
Yes.
defending the Black children that he's friends with.
Mm-hmm.
And where the respect lies, with the loose word usage of the
Yes.
N word. Um, and that's something I'm so happy you brought that up because I don't think a lot of people understand it. There is an understanding that some of us grew up a certain way. There's an understanding that sometimes we do say it. I'm gonna say we because I say it too. It's
Mm-hmm.
not that I don't. It's just sometimes we just got to be a little bit more conscious. And at the end of the day, if you are going to say it because this is how you grew up, because this was your environment, this was your childhood, this was your hood, and you probably still are in your hood, and that's perfectly fine. Don't turn a fucking blind eye when this shit is happening. Don't do
Correct.
that. And that's the part that I really loved you calling it out. And I did not know you went on a deleting and blocking spree. Thank you for
Oh
admitting that.
yeah, and I posted that. I'm that bitch that's gonna let you know beforehand. Oh yeah, I'm about to review everything right now, and I'm going through my whole 1,000 or whatever something I was following. Oh, and I started unclicking things. Makeup
Mm-hmm.
brand. Oh, everybody. Oh, you
Mm-hmm.
want the sauce? You will get it. Because guess what?
Mm-hmm.
You will take these black dollars,
Mm.
but you're not gonna help the black community. And
Right.
guess what? You won't be getting my money. Nope.
Right. Right. No, you're absolutely right. Um, when it comes to that piece of it, did anybody say anything to you? Like anyone that you knew personally? Did anybody
No.
say anything? No, they were still
No,
silent.
you were probably the only one that responded to that period. I did see. I will say. I will. I saw an influx of people start posting stuff though.
Okay.
So I'm like, I don't know. Maybe if they viewed it and then stood up,
Okay.
or maybe I unblocked me. I blocked them before they even did it at the chance. I don't know. But at
Oh
that point,
Lord.
I literally was just like, there's no need for me to sit there and second guess it. It's like,
Mm.
what are you gonna say? You're gonna tell me, oh, it's a problem. Oh, you're doing what you can. Granted, I get people can do what they can in their own way. I'm never saying everyone's activism should show up in the same cookie cutter way. You
Right.
do what you can do while you can do it. I understand why you wouldn't be at a protest specifically for you
Mm.
because you have a child. So
Mm.
you're home with your son, letting him know, watching it, maybe giving your support that way,
Right.
saying, okay, this is how they're doing it. Even if you stand outside the window with a sign, however you want to do it. Like
Yeah.
I drove by today with some kids who was outside with a Reform Now piece of
Yeah.
paper and stuff. Like, and I beat the horn at them because it was beautiful. Just watching them stand
Yes.
outside their apartment building, literally doing their own little form of protest. Beautiful. And especially what you said about your son being a fair-skinned Latin person.
Yeah.
That's a whole other thing I want to deep dive into after
Absolutely.
this part. Because
Absolutely.
literally my idea on that is extremely crazy.
Yeah.
How they try to whitewash themselves. But I love the fact that you're teaching your son, like, no, you
Yeah.
are still Latin. You may appear to
Yes.
be fair skinned. Don't
Yeah.
let this fool you, because guess
Yes.
what? You're still going to be looked at by them as somebody that you think you're not.
Yes. Yes.
So
No, it's
that
true.
I love 100%,
I
especially with me
actually,
being as light as I am.
yeah. Yeah.
Oh, the battle, the
No, no.
battle.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and let me be very honest with you. I can't tell you how many Latinos I know who happen to have a little blonde on their hair, who happen to have a little blue in their eyes, who are very white, and you won't hear them ever claim their Spanish roots. You won't.
Hmm.
They'll
And then
hang
they get
out.
praised. They
Yeah.
get praised from their family. Oh,
Yeah.
Blanquita. Oh, it's
Right.
like it's beautiful. But
Right.
let somebody my hue or darker show up, then it's negra, and it's like negra means black. They
Right.
ain't even that dark.
Right. And one day I think Amir and I will sit down and talk so much deeper in this because um in my country where I come from, I just had this conversation with two friends of mine.
Hmm.
Um there is a specific city in my country
Hmm.
where there are the black people, the Afro Ecuadorians. Believe
Hmm.
it or not, I'm 34 years old. I'm Ecuadorian. I just learned that there is a term in my country called Afro Ecuadorians. Okay.
Well, good, you learned
And
it. Good,
yes,
because
yes.
I just learned that from you. I didn't even know.
I didn't. I just learned it because I wanted to understand why certain terms were used in the way that they were. And
Hmm.
in this city in Ecuador, which is actually on my bucket list to go visit, the word negrito, negrita actually ended up being used in a form of endearment and of love
Okay.
because
Okay.
that city felt, what all of the beginnings of it, and then they used it to what should be. It was should be for love, and it should be of a form of endearment, and it should be of a nickname in the sense that you are beautiful. You are a beautiful negrita. You are a beautiful negrito.
Hmm.
And it ended up turning out that way. And mind you, I grew up with these terms. I grew up with these terms, and I always just say, well, where does it come from? Like, where
Hmm.
did this start? Like, how? And I had to dig, and I had to dig and understand a little bit more. Again, my son being the fairly white that he is, my son had blonde hair. I got the cops called on me 3 times in Manhattan because I was with black long hair. He had blonde hair, and they thought I was kidnapping him. Three
Wow.
times cops were called on me. 3 times because he was a baby and he couldn't fucking talk. One of those times, like, I almost had to leave to call his father to come and help me because somebody decided to call the cops on me because they thought I was just fucking kidnapping my kid. That's how. So this is where I go with it. It's like it doesn't matter what the fuck you see here. Like at the end of
Hmm.
the fucking day, I'm not white. And I'm going to
Exactly.
experience some shit that is still nowhere near what the black man and the black woman experience. It's still
Hmm.
nowhere near that. But fuck, I can't just keep my fucking mouth shut. I can't.
Hmm.
Like, we all need to be conscious. We all need to understand. We all need to learn, educate yourself, and continue to educate yourself. Continue to understand that it's way beyond skin deep. Like, you got to go further. You got to understand more. Um,
Hmm.
if it's not because it's your experience, you have to understand the other person's experience. Put yourself in their fucking shoes and understand what the fuck is going on so that you don't become part of the fucking problem. So that you don't turn a fucking
Exactly.
blind eye to somebody saying, I can't breathe. And then he slowly stops breathing for 2 minutes or more. And then he fucking dies.
Hmm.
That's the problem here. Whether you're in uniform, whether you're wearing a badge or an ID, whatever the fuck it is, like, I can't believe that it's come to this. Amir, is what I'm saying. I think we've just, and it's so fucking sad to say this shit. I think we're so used to seeing videos of a unarmed black man getting shot that to actually see an unarmed black man slowly die like this was
Hmm.
just to a whole other fucking level for me. It was just
Okay.
to a whole other fucking level. Amir, I can't. And then it made me feel like, have I been doing enough?
Hmm.
That's what it made me feel. That was the question I asked myself. And I think that's what really put me in a sense to respond to you and to your post.
Hmm.
Because I think it needs to be called out. It does need to
Hmm.
be called out. You said you wanted to dive a little bit deeper into the fairly white and the fairly light skin.
Yes. All right. So I've heard. Well, all right. I don't never talk on statistics and stuff like that. Stats and
Yeah.
numbers and all. I'm not that person. I'm not an expert, so never you're gonna divulge any information in terms like that.
Right.
But just being experienced and hearing people's life experiences, hearing people's stuff they had to deal with their family.
Right.
Dominicans, especially, you'll hear it from how the lighter, fairer Dominicans literally look down or um, feel a sense of disgust towards the darker skinned
Mm,
Dominicans.
mm,
You're the same thing.
mm,
It just so happened that your bloodline was diluted um, to the point where you don't exhibit the same dark features as that person, but you're the
right.
same. So now you have Spanish people migrating or growing up in America,
Mm,
checking off white on the census because they consider themselves to be so fair and passable that they're
mm,
white. So they take the black community problems and literally throw it in the dirt and say, "Oh well, I'm not a part of that. I have nothing to do with that."
yeah.
And then
Yeah.
it's just like, okay, you're just gonna sit back and watch them.
Mm,
So then when in terms something, it's like, okay, well, once they're done with us, who do you think they're going after that?
right.
They
Right.
may recruit you now, but trust me, they're gonna condemn you later.
Yeah.
So it's like, don't think because you hop over there and deal with that and allow that to happen, that they're not gonna turn around and start coming at you. Because
Mm,
there's always been a group of people that white people had problems with and decided to terrorize and ostracise.
mm-hmm.
Before it was the Irish people. Remember, they
Mm,
were indentured service to the white
right.
people.
Mm-hmm.
Jews, white people just started liking Jews because
Mm-hmm.
before that they hated them.
Right.
And then it was another group. Can't even think of their name, whatever. But whatever. It literally is like people feel like they're passing. They're not the ones being targeted, so they think they can let stuff slide. But no, being of Latin descent, you still are a black person. So it's like
Yes.
thinking you could push the brown skin version of yourself to the side and allow your white side to flourish in this America.
Mm-hmm.
No, no, because guess what? There's white people out here protesting and making stuff known. So like,
Yeah.
if they could do it, you could do it. Don't think because you're passing, you're eligible to just slide on by and let stuff happen.
Mm-hmm.
No,
Mm-hmm.
hell no. Don't
Mm,
think that.
yeah.
That's the problem I have in terms of like, it's people I've met would never know ever at all like the Spanish at all. Like literally
Yeah.
hearing them talk, not an
Mm-hmm.
ounce of an accent. Their
Mm,
name is diluted down to some generic ass Anglo-Saxon shit, and
yep.
you just look like, well, okay. And then literally all of a sudden their mother calls,
Yeah.
hello, hello,
Alo.
por
Alo.
ahí,
Yeah. Yeah. I
por
said
ahí,
alo.
and it's
Yeah.
like, okay, your mother's on the phone.
Yeah.
Your mother's
Yeah.
on the phone.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like I don't know. And then sometimes I feel maybe because I'm so fair,
Mm,
I feel like I have to overdo or like exaggerate my plight in terms of blackness.
mm,
Cause then I'll also get that thrown at me like, oh well, you're light skinned. I may be light skinned, but I am one of the blackest people you'll ever meet. Because
right.
I'm not sitting here saying, oh, because I'm light skinned, I can do this. Hell no, that don't mean shit to me. It
Right.
just means a defective form of my color.
I can't.
That's all I see it as. Because it's like, at the end of the day, you think I want to be this light? No, I'm lighter
Right.
than my mother, and my mother is the Spanish one. So how did that happen? I don't know. Mind you, my father is brown. My father was literally almost the same color as George Floyd. So
Wow.
me coming out this fair is not
Yeah.
something. It's like God played a trick on me.
Right. Right.
I'm gonna
No.
give you this attitude, but I'm gonna give you this
But
appearance, and then it's
right.
like, so it's like, but mind you, and then I'm so many things rolled up in one.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm gay. I'm gender non-conforming. I guess that's a new term I had to learn.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
I'm Black, Puerto Rican, Dominican, and then it's like I do what I want, but I have to understand I am a full-fledged minority, and I am
Mm-hmm.
the epitome of what white America has a problem with.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because all lives matter, but specifically right now, Black lives matter.
You
And
know.
all Black lives matter. We're gonna put it that way. I'm
Yes.
gonna make it to that moniker. All Black lives matter.
You
Because
know.
I have compassion for anyone. Anyone that dies is sometimes is wrong, depending on the person. But do I feel we need to lose sight of murder is murder? Nope.
No. Right.
Hell no.
There we go. There
So
we
if
go.
that white cop decided to murder somebody, then his white ass needs to get murdered back.
Mm. Mm. And you know
So
what's
whether it be Oh,
No,
go ahead.
no, and to add to everything you just said, because once again, this is really what brought this episode here, is because, for one, like I said before, I didn't know if I had been doing enough, and two, because Amir posted something that really resonated, and
Mhm.
I need to say this. I want to give a quick 1 minute shout out to my Dominican friends, who are the ones who have been posting and calling this shit out.
Mhm.
More than one friend has had this conversation with me. My Dominican friends, powerful beings, knowing, what their skin color looks like, no, still learning about their roots, still knowing what they grew up with, what they know they heard in their household, what they saw when in DR versus here. I want to give a shout out to them. I'm not going to say their names, but they know exactly who they are, because I actually spoke with them 2 days Sunday
Mhm.
throughout the day. And so when they hear this, because I know they're going to hear it, they're going to know it's them. And I want to give that shout out to them, because it is so important to know it. Just that
Mhm.
piece itself, you just have to know. Don't deny it. Don't deny who the fuck you are. The
Mhm.
moment you start that rejection process, is the moment that we're all failing each other.
Yes.
That's the piece of it. We're all failing
Yes.
each other. And that's the part where I need to fix him. And I'm pointing that way because he's over there. He won't come out because he got
Mhm.
in trouble. But I need to fix him, and I need to help him to understand that he's gonna get nowhere in rejecting this. He
Mhm.
needs to understand what this means, what his color
Mhm.
means. When his father is Puerto Rican, when his one of his favorite uncles is a black, dark skinned, tall man who could any day possibly scare an officer, and God forbid something happens to his uncle. My son
Yes.
would be devastated. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So I need him to, instead of rejecting, knowing. I need him to know. And understand that support does come in different ways.
Mhm.
So when someone like Amir or myself decide to call the shit out and talk about it, even on an episode, it's not because we're sitting here throwing digs at people. It's not because we're here to jab people. It's because we need to fucking talk about it. Somebody needs to wake you the
Yes.
fuck up. That's what this is
Yes.
about. Um, and I just felt like, in seeing so many people posting, and then with your post, I was like, well, no, hold up a second. I've been questioning, like, have I done enough? I know what I donate to. I know, the acts of service I've done. I don't like to always talk about it, because I don't think you should ever talk about any acts of kindness that you
Exactly.
do. So I
Yes.
don't talk about the shit that I do, the shit that I donate to. But I know what I do, and I know what I do it more so now in an effort with him, so he can
Mhm.
understand why this thing needs to continue. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
um and I'm not saying everybody needs to show it, but when we have a time like this, it is important to demonstrate support. It
Mhm.
is important to demonstrate support. One of the things you said, and I was supposed to ask you this way in the beginning, and I didn't, because we dived right in, but one of the things you
Mhm.
posted was you were not okay. And
Oh yes.
y'all, I'm a fucking crier. I'm a Scorpio, but lately I'm a fucking mushy ass bitch. And so I've been crying a lot.
Mhm.
And I just got choked up. But that's why I said, shit, I fucked up again, because I should be asking my Black brothers and sisters, are they okay? I should be asking if
Yes.
they're okay, just checking in, just to see,
And you have
hey,
to dig with that. Are you okay? Because
yep,
people's first response when you ask them like, "How you doing?" They're
yeah,
like, "Oh, I'm okay."
yeah,
And it's like, no, but how you really doing? And most people get annoyed when I ask them that and look them in their eyes and ask them like, "Well, how are you doing?" I can tell by your energy automatically, by your tone, your
mm,
movement, how you're doing. You're gonna be like, if you're like, okay, you're not okay. So how are you really doing?
doing,
And
right,
literally, sometimes you have to pry to
mm,
get sure that you get the right answer, or
right,
even that little spark of a question could literally divulge to something else. I
mm,
feel 100% what you mean with your Dominican friends, how you saw how they step up.
mm,
Even you just saying, you're asking yourself your internal monologue of, am I doing enough?
yeah,
Literally means you're doing something.
mm,
So I'm doing something means you're working and progressing towards doing what you could feel as being enough. I can never dictate what enough is, because we never will know
right,
what enough is. Because we could just, given being enough would probably just be giving our life at
yeah,
this point. Because
yeah,
it's like, what else could we do? Like literally stand in front of a rubber bullet while they're shooting them, and
yeah,
like that giving enough, or is it no? You got to do this. Like, so that, I applaud you for doing that, because that
thank
means
you,
the world. Even thinking that way, bringing it up, talking about it. Like, you don't have to tell everybody everything that you do. It's
Right.
pointless because it's like at the end
Right.
of the day, you're just gonna like, oh, these are my accolades. No, you move in silence. Do what you got to do so that your own soul can be fulfilled by those things, and
That's
knowing
right.
that you're in your own way changing the world. I literally just lost my point of thought in my mind because I just
It's
started
okay.
going off on a
But
tangent.
you just gave me a lot of powerful talk there, so it's okay.
Yes, yes. Oh, friends. Okay, so in terms of friendships, I feel if you can divulge in me your
Mm,
man troubles,
mm,
any problems you have, day to day life, bullshit topics, but when the
mhm,
real nitty gritty comes in and you can't discuss it with me, then we have a problem.
mhm,
Literally, I had a group chat with my friend, and literally we sat through it. We sent voice notes to each other, going over how we felt, what we feel we can do. Um, Ways to make sure that each other is doing better. With the whole I'm not okay thing, literally I was drained. Like
mm,
that day I was worn out and I
mm,
didn't even leave the house. That's what blew my mind because I'm like, I feel like I ran up and down a hill all day,
mm.
and it was to the point where I was like, I'm just tired, like
Yeah.
literally I don't even want to look at my phone. But then I feel I do a disservice to myself to not be aware of what's going on by
Mm,
not looking at my phone, viewing everything going on in my surroundings, because I need to
right.
know and be aware. Because if
Mm,
I'm just house, doors closed, lights off, TV playing, it could act like there's no care in the world. But then I go outside and the whole world's on fire. Then I can't sit there and be like, oh, well, what happened? No, I need to be aware of my surroundings. I need to know
right.
what's going on. I need to know if I need to put some boots on, put some jeans on, and start marching down the street. That's the part that you need. But friendships, to be in such close quarters and discuss such minuscule things in terms of mental health, emotional health, like literally, I asked my friends specifically, how are you doing emotionally, physically, and mentally? And
Mm,
make sure those questions are answered, because it's like, we got to be there for each other. Like, all right, take this cup and let's fill each other's up so that we all feel some sort of something. If you're not doing good, okay, let's talk it out. What's wrong? How do you not
yeah.
feel good? More or less, all of us was feeling the same way, but the constant conversation allowed it to build up to something more. Because it's like, okay,
Right.
now we're feeling better and we're starting to understand. And then it's like, of course, with tragedy comes, I won't say laughter, but there are moments where things happen that lighten up the mood, and
Right.
you get a little happy, a little smile, a little laugh in there. So it's like things like that you just have to evolve past. But trust
Yeah.
me, if you could talk about a man for 10 hours on the phone, you could talk about the Black community and how you can help them
Absolutely.
for at least 10 minutes.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I want to add to that when you said that because with me because I'm one person and I said that before we started recording. I like to respect,
Hmm.
people's emotions and whatnot. I actually did do the "Are you okay?" question with someone. And it was funny because we were talking about a completely separate topic. And the funny part was, it was, yeah, I'm okay, I'm fine. But then it was like, what you mean? And it's like, I don't ever want to be intrusive to someone, but I will ask if you are okay. I will ask if whether it's the topic we're talking about or just in general. And I do think that in at least in that conversation, I know sincerely there was laughter in exchange. And so I
Hmm.
I said to myself, if at that moment I was able to get his mind off of something, off of just
Hmm.
what's been going on online or what's going on in the real world, because he was able to have a good laugh with me, then I think I
Hmm.
did something. I think I did
Yep.
something for that moment, for there to be just a little bit of laughter to we're not ever going to forget what's going on, but just for that moment, just to breathe a little bit and to talk about something different.
Hmm.
Because at the same token, like I said, I've been a mushy as bitch lately, and I just cry at the drop of a fucking pin. Don't ask me. I'm gonna blame it on the man
I
because
wish I
um
was that way.
ugh, I've been all over.
I
I'm not gonna
wish.
lie to you. And I think that's where for me it's just it's hit me so hard. Like just the whole, being in healthcare, seeing this pandemic shit, and now seeing this shit again. It's like, God damn, like what are we doing? Like, huh.
Well, I didn't come up with a term, but I've combined terms together
Mm,
of what is it? Change is inevitable, but
mm,
history repeats itself.
mm.
Because literally, what made me so tired was like, I felt like I'm in a time warp. I was like, didn't this shit just happen? Like,
Yes.
was it Eric Gardner? Like, last year, and then come to find out it was a couple of years ago. But I felt like the effects, it was still going on, like it was last year. So I'm
Right.
like, you mean to tell me that just happened? Now this happened? I'm like, have we been even like doing anything? I'm like, we get together, protest,
Mm-hmm.
last for about a month or so, whatever. Oh, change is gonna come, and then nothing happens.
Mm-hmm.
So it's
Right.
like that's another frustrating part because it's like, are these protesters working? What is the
Right.
protest going to accomplish? It's just
Right.
us walking together in unity, but the people in power, the government,
Right.
are not taking the steps to do anything.
Right. They're not
So
walking.
like that's yeah, some of them are because they're running for office in a certain amount of time, which that's a whole different story. But
You saw my
like
face, right?
yeah, because I'm like, okay, this is the plot. You out here for this, but no, take your ass back in the house for somebody to
Right.
trip you or something.
Right.
But it's just I I don't know. It's just really like nothing is working because it's like, all right, the peaceful protest with the whole kneeling situation.
Mm-hmm.
Colin
Mm-hmm.
Kaepernick Colin Kaepernick kneeled, which still, in a way, I don't get the uproar and everyone's so upset. I'm like, he's kneeling at a football game
Right.
about police brutality. I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, there are no police in the NFL, so why the fuck is everybody in an uproar about him kneeling?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what? What was this hindering? But all
Right.
of a sudden, you get these white motherfuckers who decide to go to Capitol Hill and courthouses and all that stuff, so with their guns and shit on their back, talking about,
Yep.
oh, let us out the house. We want to get haircuts and get our nails done.
And nobody got shot.
Nobody got shot. Mind you, they got guns
Yeah.
in front of y'all face,
Yeah.
standing there.
Yeah.
But all of a sudden, black people come out there with their hands up in the air and signs in their hands. They're
That he's
more threatening.
right. Right. No, you are more threatening. Absolutely. Yeah. 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 That's the reality of it.
Yeah.
That's the sick reality. I'm not gonna say the time and the place this happened. I'm not gonna say it specifically because there's still a side of me, a professional side of me, that is owed to my entire 13 years of my career. So I'm not gonna say
Mm-hmm.
exactly when this happened, but I will share this. There was once a scenario where I was with I want to say maybe he was 6'2", 6'3". Within my role, I had to assist this person,
Mm-hmm.
a black man, um, huge black man, okay, tall. And I had to take him into my space to speak about what the situation was. I later found out that some people were concerned for my safety, being alone with this tall, big black man. Um, because that person was just so upset.
Mm-hmm.
And it makes me wonder how that could be because no one ever asked me if I felt safe or not, right? It was
Mm-hmm.
just assumed that I was probably in an unsafe situation.
Exactly.
And to be quite honest with you, in my 13 years of my career, anytime I have felt unsafe, because at the end of the day, while I'm not visibly black, I'm also
Mm-hmm.
not white. It has
Mm-hmm.
not been with my black brothers or sisters, or it has not been with my fellow Latinos or Latinas. That is not when I've ever felt unsafe.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely not. Um, and it was at that moment when I was told that I was like, well, damn, thank God y'all don't know I fucking date black men because
Mm-hmm.
shit, because I don't, I didn't share with everybody that I necessarily, date black men, but fuck, did y'all know I did? Because why would you think that, oh my God,
Mm-hmm.
you're worried about her safety? Oh my God. What was there exactly to be worried about? And it was, I mean, not that I needed that moment, but that's how disgusting that situation got for me because no one ever cared to ask me how I was feeling. It was just assumed because of what that
Yep.
person looked like, because of his skin color, because he just happened to be irate. Oh my fucking God. Everybody happens to be irate. I'm a very scary bitch when I'm irate. And I'm tiny. I'm 4'11". What am I gonna do to anybody? Nothing. But it was just that moment that it was like, this is not how the world is supposed to be. This isn't how life is supposed to be. So if you were that concerned and if you would have dared to call the cops on this man and they would have seen him irate, what would have happened to him? Like, would they have just drawn those fucking guns and shoot him? If he
Exactly.
if according to them, he didn't raise his hands far up enough, would they have just shot him? And there was nothing wrong in what that encounter consisted of. I, like you said, when you said, I don't know, I saw how you looked over to the side and I felt it in your voice. I don't think any one of us do know.
Mm-hmm.
But I think we do need to continue talking about what we do know, what is
Yes.
obvious in front of us, and not act like it's not happening to any of us, because it is.
Mm-hmm.
These are our cities, these are our people, these are our neighbors. These are, some of them are our friends. um
Mm-hmm.
and if I'm going to be very, very, very transparent, like I always am on Raw Talk, if anybody listened to my last episode with Stuffy Kids, we talked about how someone came for us for having a preference in the men we date. And so I stated that I date Black men.
Mm-hmm.
And to your point, I saw a post, and forgive me for saying it this way, but it was someone who posted it. It was a tweet, and it said, y'all have Black dick in your mouth, but you won't go out there and protect, and honestly, when I
Mm.
saw that shit, Amir, it was like, you're not for nothing, that shit is true. Like, not for nothing, it's fucking true.
I was just saying that earlier with my friend, like, not necessarily a black dick in your mouth, but I'm
I
like,
mean, that's what it said. I'm reading.
literally, if you feel the comfortability and ability to love the person you're with, whether it be an interracial couple or literally it's just a Black man, and you're Black, but you're not, like we said, you're light enough to pass or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Literally, are you 10 toes down, taking care of him,
Right.
letting him know, like, okay, what do you need from me? How are you being an ally in that term? Because it's
Right.
like, I know a lot of white women who are with Black men who are
Mm-hmm.
not showing the same responses and ability. And like, because guess what? You're having these Black children, which you think may pass for being white, but they're Black children. Because
Mm-hmm.
guess what? Drake's son is still Black, but whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah, whatever.
he might have blonde hair, blue eyes, but he's still Black.
Black. Yeah.
At the end of the
Yeah.
day, his daddy Black. But so, like, for you to allow that into your life, but to then not turn around and support the community which you become a part of by injection,
Right.
it makes you seem like a hypocrite. But you're
Yeah.
doing your part. So it's like, that is commendable, like, at all costs. Like, my mother does her part. And
Mm.
my mother is not, well, she's Black, but she's not considered a Black woman. She's still
Right.
considered a Latin woman. But it's
Right.
still like, no,
Right.
my mother would do what she had to do. My mother works in, what do you call it? She's an essential worker for the county.
Oh,
So like,
okay.
literally, she
Thank
works
you.
every day with people, making sure they're doing things they need, they're getting the stuff they
Right.
need, their
Right.
families are being helped. Like, she does her part. And guess what? Why? Because she's with a Black man,
Mm.
and she's
That's
making
true.
sure the community is thriving and going forward.
Right.
So it's like, all costs. My grandmother inside of the healthcare for the state, making
Mm.
sure that the community is thriving and being taken care of. So it's like,
Right.
I'm surrounded by these strong Latin women who are doing their part for the men they encountered and dealt with.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, don't come and steal the men away for the white women. I'm pointing for white women for this. I don't even care. Don't come and steal the
Say it.
Black men away, and then
Right.
decide to be like, oh, well, it's okay. Do you not
No.
know how awkward it is for your Black man to be inside of your white family's dining room table and sitting there with all your white ass uncles, aunts, mothers, fathers, brothers, who probably cops, and
Right.
literally sitting there breaking bread with them? You don't know how exhausting it is to sit there and I'm pretty sure every Black boy has that same interaction with those parents, because it's literally that awkward, soft, calm vocal tone of
Mm.
like, you can't raise your voice because then you'll be seen as disrespectful, and then you can't do certain things because then they'll have a problem and they may try to kill you. So
Mm-hmm.
even that is like, why involve yourself in that? But guess what? You like that girl, you're dealing with her, that's
Mm.
her family. But what is she gonna do for your family at the end of the day?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that is the commitment where, again, first of all, guys, let me just say, I swear to God, it was a real tweet. I know I be saying shit like that. I know I say shit like that, but it was a real tweet, and I will find it and I will post it just so y'all could see it was a real tweet. But that's just the raw talk we need to have here. And it's true. Amir, what you're saying is so true. Like we cannot just sit here and me personally, I do love the black man. I have loved the black man. So for me, it's like open up your eyes, and everybody needs to
Mm-hmm.
do that. So, and it goes vice
Mm-hmm.
versa. It goes vice versa. If you are
Mm-hmm.
a white man who happens to love a black man or woman, and because it is what it is.
Yes. Yeah, I
um
forgot about those.
yeah, I
I
forgot
forgot
that
about my
too.
community.
Yeah, no, I forgot that part too. So let me rephrase myself. Because I actually do happen to love black women too. I mean, I'm not within the community, but I will say some of them are fucking hot as shit, and they're beautiful. And so with that being said, it's like we have a commitment. We do have a commitment, and it is true. If we could sit there, if I could go on a whole spree of reposting this black man or this black woman and say they're beautiful, they're beautiful, they're beautiful, well then fuck, am I gonna be hurt that they get hurt? Is it gonna be sad for me? Is it gonna absolutely it is. So guess what?
Mm-hmm.
Don't wait till that moment to mourn anybody, but do something about it now. and
Mm-hmm.
and and really continue that awareness. I mean, I was able to only realize that I had a lot of Latin friends, Latinx, Afro Latinos, Afro Latinas, really sharing their thoughts, really showing the support because you prompted it for me. You prompted it for me when you said, "Oh, I'm looking at my Latino friends," and I was like, "Well, let me go look one more time." And I
Mm-hmm.
saw that they were, and I was like,
Mm-hmm.
"Okay, okay, so we're not entirely silent, but let's just make sure we don't continue being silent."
Yes.
Because, the other problem is, when it passes, when the time passes, and then it's like we stop the marching and we stop the protesting, and like you said, how far does this go? And then we go back to the same shit, and it doesn't start again until it happens again. Um,
Exactly.
and that's where we have a problem. It shouldn't continue that way, in the sense that
Mm-hmm.
once it dies down, when it slows down, once it gets quiet, it's like suddenly we forgot until it happens again, and then unfortunately we have another fucking hashtag. Um,
Yeah, I'm tired of those.
you know Let me tell you something. This kid came and told me, he's like, "Mom, who's Sean Bell?" And
Oh
I said,
Lord.
"Sean Bell." I said, "Where did you hear that from?" And he's like, "I was looking on YouTube and I saw this, and it's titled Before the Hashtag Sean Bell." I didn't know that there was a docu series done on Complex. Um,
I didn't hear about it.
I didn't know.
That's crazy.
He
I didn't
found
hear
it.
about that one.
He found it. It's a 15-minute clip. I'm gonna post the link to it on the show
Mm-hmm.
description, because Sean Bell was actually in 2006. My son was not born until 2007. I was pregnant with
Mm-hmm.
my son when Sean Bell was killed in Queens. The night before he was supposed
21
to get
shots?
married. 50, and he was hit 19 times. It was like
Okay.
that.
Okay. I'm like, it was somewhere.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
So he
Mm.
was killed the night before his wedding, during his bachelor
Mm.
party. Um, I
Mm-hmm.
didn't I didn't know there was any docuseries until he brought it to me, because he was on YouTube and he was like just looking at all these videos and he came across it. And I had to sit there and watch the little 15-minute clip with him. And then more questions came and I had to pull up information because I couldn't remember the whole story. And it was crazy to
Mm-hmm.
me that it was called Before the Hashtag. And then I said to myself, it's sad that there's always a new hashtag. There's always a new hashtag with a person's full name on it, and it's usually because they're
Mm-hmm.
getting killed. And if you do your research on it, and if you see who are the murderers, and I'm not going to take this lightly. Listen, I know I have listeners who are cops. I know I have listeners who are friends of mine that are cops, that we go way, 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 way back. It should not offend you. This is a conversation, but the murderers
It
who
would
happen.
only sting if you
Mm,
are
yes,
if you are a part
yes,
of it. It would
yes,
only sting if you're a part of it.
exactly.
If you doing your job correctly, how you supposed to be
Then
doing,
great,
then
thank
you
you.
don't be offended. If the
Yeah,
shoe fits, wear it.
right, right. No, you're right, you're right, and that's why I'm calling it out like that. With these specific cases, those are murderers. Okay, those are murderers.
Mm-hmm.
They've murdered these people. It's my opinion, and it's obviously facts, as we could see it on TV and videos. Um, it's just like, even the hashtag itself, we're just so, I guess, programmed now to just start the hashtag as soon as we see it on the news. And it's like, even then,
Mm-hmm.
you know the fact that people cannot see, earlier you said, yes, all lives matters, but the fact that people have a problem with the still consistent, it's consistent because it keeps happening, Black Lives Matter hashtag, and
Mm,
they reject it, and it's like, they see that as the negativity. It's not. That's not the negative piece of this whole story. If it's not because of
mm-hmm,
that, awareness would not have been the real purpose to this. And if we keep rejecting the hashtag, then we're going to keep forgetting about these stories. We're going to not realize that this has been
mm-hmm.
happening for so many years. It was so much so, the research I did that night, this kid just learned about Amadou Diallo. That's the one
I
that
was just
got
about to bring up his name.
yes.
Literally, that's what's sticking in my mind.
Yes, I had to sit there and
Sticking in my mind.
go through the whole list. I had to sit there. He stayed up with me. I had John live on my little tripod, and I was here on the computer,
Mm,
like just going through the whole list, explaining it to him. Like, this goes way back. Just that now we have cameras with phones, cameras with videos, the phones with videos. That's what we have.
mm-hmm.
And so now people are recording, and now we're actually seeing what the
Yes,
fuck has
because
been
literally
going
everything in
on.
real time.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Um,
Because the crazy part back then, it would just be somebody recording with an actual recorder and
right.
capturing things happening like Rodney King.
Mm,
His was from a camera, somebody was far away, caught that shit going on. So it's like video proof does not incriminate, it seems. It seems like video proof is just showing you who's there, what they're doing,
mm-hmm,
and all right, it happened. But at the end of the day, it's, oh, well, we didn't fire them yet, or we have to investigate it. What is that investigate? You saw that motherfucker with that badge number in that video sitting there doing that? Then
mm-hmm,
you need to go and pick that motherfucker up from his house and take him to jail. It's not
mm-hmm,
even a question to think about it. Like, it needs to happen. And
mm-hmm.
then in terms of, all right, if they get arrested, you're gonna be lenient on them and just give them a slap on the wrist and
Yeah,
send them home?
yeah.
Because more or less, a lot of them are not getting convicted. It's more or less a small portion that actually getting convicted. Other
Mm-hmm,
than that, it's a soft ass trial that ends up turning into something where they just get a slap on the wrist and go on home. Because I think the
mm-hmm.
man that killed Eric Garner got off scot free.
Yeah.
If I'm not,
If I'm not mistaken
yeah,
either, yeah. Yeah, I think he
yeah.
did. He did.
After
Honestly,
the trial took forever.
yeah, yeah. You're saying it's a slap on the wrist for them, and in my head I'm constantly thinking to myself, and it's a slap in the face to everyone else.
Oh yes,
It's a constant
yes.
slap in the face to everyone else. Um
Mm-hmm.
with the idea of what else can I do, hasn't been enough, or you know how else can we change. With one of my friends, we said, we don't know how to change this. We don't know. We're pretty smart individuals. We're most of us are creatives, but we don't know how this can change. Or what to do with it. And I think the one thing that I came out of this with all these conversations, and even with the motivation to have an open dialogue
Mm-hmm.
about this and really put out an episode on it. And listen, let me be very clear. Anyone who's listening to this, you don't even have to download the damn episode. You don't even rate it, don't nothing, because that's not what this purpose of this episode is. Honestly speaking, this is just about conversation. If I have a microphone and I have a tiny little platform I've built, then we're going to have conversation. That's what this is about. Um, but I think I've actually made the decision that I happen to know someone from high school who is in politics here in New York City. And
Mm-hmm.
I am a fan of Ocasio. And I think I've decided that I want to write a letter to both of them. And I want to know how else is there a way to get involved when it comes to my city, when it comes to my borough of the Bronx.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of crime always happening. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but injustice is injustice. And it just comes to a point where it's like, um, you cannot tell me it's just okay to constantly find ways to say an officer was just doing their job, because
Mm-hmm.
that's not their job. Their job, my understanding is they're supposed to protect the people in the city, and that's not
Mm-hmm.
what's happening, and that's not what happened then. um
Or unless it is their job and we
mm, mm,
don't know what they secretly told to do. Because
true.
remember, it did come out before that with the was it Geo was it Governor Geo, whatever his name is,
Giuliani.
Giuliani, was it with him that they were told, rough up the black people? a
I
little more.
was it with him? I think it.
I want to say with him, or it wasn't with Bloomberg. I don't think. I might have been with Bloomberg. You know what? Whatever. Either one of
Well, one of
them.
them.
These
One of
cops
them.
was told before by their commissioner and the people in charge, you could rough up black people and beat them up at this
Mm-hmm.
point, and that's why it was a surplus of beatings and attacks and shootings from cops onto black people, literally over and over again happening in New York. Why? Because we don't know specifically what they were told, but whatever it was a okay for them to do what they wanted to do to
Mm-hmm.
anybody with color,
Mm-hmm.
and they got away with it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's funny because I think with Amadou Diallo, the force that killed him was considered street crime, something like that. That's what I read up on. Um,
Probably.
they were I think they were in street clothes, and it was part of this task force type of thing with
Mm,
street crime. And he was confused or mistaken to have been some serial rapist from like a year prior. That's an
mm,
amazing memory for any officer to suddenly think that a year later that's exactly who the fuck it is. And of course, Amadou Diallo was killed atrociously
mm,
because he had his wallet in his hand. And again,
mm,
this right here, what this conversation has been, and as you can see, Amyr and I have been able to, go back and forth on this, share opinions, whether be on the same page or, thank you, Amyr, for challenging so much today because, again, this is the platform. This is what I wanted when I wanted to be able to be as loud as I want,
mm,
and be as raw as I wanted. I didn't want to just limit it to certain things. I wanted to be able to have an open, free, and safe space to talk about everything and anything.
mm,
And one of those pieces is the news and social media. And had it not been for social media, I don't think I would have ever been faced with the reality of what's going on in the world, especially in recent years. And again, it's because we have smartphones, and it is because we have cameras on them, and we are able to pull out those phones and record. And, that's one thing I do want to say. I think it was Eric Garner's case that the guy who recorded it was taken into custody. I think it was his case. And I believe that
maybe.
I think so. And I believe there in every state it might vary, but I do want to say this. Um because I think about this often. What if I was faced with that situation if I had to take out my phone and start recording? And sometimes they will come up to you and try to intimidate you and try to tell you, like, no, you can't record, you can't record, you can't record. And I want to encourage everyone to not be afraid to record, to not be afraid to capture
Mm,
shit on evidence, um,
mm,
to learn their local rights, their city rights, their state rights on what it is with recording a situation like that. Because when you
mm,
think of communications and you think of media, the media has its own ways of functioning things. But I did see someone shared a video not too long ago, and one of the news channels actually responded to that tweet of this person who tweeted this video, this footage that they captured. And the news channel
mm,
said, "Is this your video? Do you own it? If so, do we have your permission to please share this? Can we message you?" And because at the end of the day, as citizens, as civilians, as people of our communities, we should be able to
mm.
have that right to do that. There's a CNN reporter, Omar Jimenez, who got arrested for
On camera.
on camera for what the fuck he was doing. His job. And guess
On
what,
camera. So
guys?
just working. And
And
mind you,
guess
they're talking to him in his ear, and he's just
Yes. And guess what, guys? Omar Jimenez. Let me say it to you with my very Spanish accent. Omar Jimenez. Okay. A full blown Spanish name. And the man is black. Okay. He got arrested. He got arrested. CNN Live. He got arrested.
arrested.
So this
Mind
is,
you, all
yeah.
his white counterparts and the cameraman, they were all just allowed to stand there.
Yup.
Him, out of everybody in the group, was decided
Yup.
like, oh, we're going to arrest you, sir.
You. Yes. And that's why I wanted to just plug this thing in there. Learn your rights. Learn your right to be able to record a situation like that. They should not just be slapping your phone out of your hand. They should not be, taking that right away from you. It is your phone, your property, your camera. And if you feel like taking out that phone to record something, record it, because people do need to know. Do we want to constantly see these fucking videos? Absolutely not. we want this to
Mm-hmm.
someday end and not be the case, but it's still happening. So I don't, if there's a message I could give, is to just learn your rights as a citizen, as part of your community, so that we don't turn a blind eye like that one officer did the day he kept saying, George Floyd kept saying, I can't breathe, just like Eric Garner did.
Mm-hmm.
That's that one piece I definitely want to leave my listeners with. And keep your education going, keep your awareness going. Don't let the younger generation grow up thinking that everything is, everything is just so blissfully perfect. It's not. Let's not hide the truth. Let's just use a form of education to do it, to teach them and to be aware. Amir, is there anything you would like to leave my listeners with this whole
Yes.
conversation?
I'll leave your listeners with piggybacking off what you said with the whole pulling your phone out, stepping in.
Mm,
Yes, definitely document any injustice you see occurring. But if you feel like it's going too far,
mm,
I myself made it a point to myself to say, I'm going to step in. So
mm,
if I need to use my body as a shield or some form of blockade in
mm,
terms of when I see something really, really going south that it could lead to something bad,
mm,
then I'm gonna have to just sacrifice myself to
mm,
that point. Because
mm,
it's like at this point, what else is there to do? Recording is gonna do that. It's gonna make it documented. But then if I'm gonna sit there and watch someone die in front of me, then I have to live with that guilt. So it's like, no, I'm gonna step in, do what I can. Heaven forbid if I pass away at the same time, but then my time to go. But I'll be
mm,
willing to put myself into that. Also, I made a point for myself, even discussing with my friends, with traffic stops, seeing if I have a little extra time left over to actually, view them, making sure the people are not overpopulated with cops, because, usually it's probably one person in the car and
mm,
then four cop cars show up to basically intimidate you and scare you. But,
mhm,
just taking my time, if I have enough time to be able to view it, watch it, and even probably record that in a
mm,
way.
mm,
So yes, being very vigilant, uh, keeping your eyes alert, stepping in when you can step in.
mhm,
I'm not saying everyone has to use their body as a sacrifice, but if you
mhm,
can and you're willing, I say
mhm,
always, let it know. It's a guy that I follow on Instagram. I believe it's Jersey, New York Cop Watch.
mm,
Literally, he is on the front line, walking around in Harlem, the
mm,
Bronx, New
mhm,
Jersey, everywhere. Literally, he constantly surveillances the cops. He has a whole setup and everything. And literally, if you get a chance to follow him on Instagram, it is beautiful as fuck because he literally calls them out on their shit as they're doing it. So
mm,
like beautiful, like, but that's a great I guess you'll say example of something that I saw that I was like, well, I need to start doing my part because I can say what I want to say, but he's out here doing it. And I think he's white. If he's not white, he's probably Spanish, but he's fair skinned. So you wouldn't even
mhm,
know either. And then it's like, if he could do that, so can I.
mm,
So it's
mm,
like, I got to do my part. But yes, I will leave you with that. Uh, all Black Lives Matter. Uh, we I know we're tired and worn out, but all we can
mhm,
do is keep pushing. Sometimes you don't have to don't over inform yourself in one day.
mm,
Don't feel like you have to like overdo it with let me watch this, let me read this, let me do this. Because that right there will literally deplete you of any energy you have for the rest of the day.
right.
And you're literally just gonna like fall into a stupor of like, I don't even want to like deal with anything. So
Mhm,
little by little,
mm,
balance it. Do some righteous work and then do some ratchet work. So
mm,
that
mm.
way you have your
I like
fun and you
that.
have your your knowledge. So that way you inform yourself, you update yourself, but then you also give yourself a chance to just relax, be lighthearted, and not carry everything on. For
Mm,
the criers, cry if you have to cry. I
yes,
myself wish I had that ability, but
I
I think
can.
I'm like a psychopath or something because I don't cry. But like, however you deal and cope with things,
Yeah.
deal with it and cope with it. Uh, just do while you can do it, and don't be so hard on yourself where you feel like you should be doing better. Because if you're in your mind saying I'm doing this and working towards something, then you're doing probably a lot more than a lot of people you know.
Yeah.
So don't ever second guess how you feel that you're doing towards making the situation better. And like we said, this has been going on for civil
Years.
rights in the 1960s.
Yeah.
So we're not even going to go to slavery. We're just going to go to civil rights in terms of Jim
Mm,
Crow, civil
mm.
rights, that type of deal, 1960s. So we add, what, 50, 70 years?
Mm.
70. But if
Oh,
we protesting, doing the same things then, and nothing has changed, then I mean, what can we do? Like we gotta keep changing and updating how we're protesting. How
right,
like all right, they started with the nonviolent protests, walking, doing things, and then of course with us, we're escalating it. But as we're doing the non-violent protests, they're getting violent with us, and guess what's happening? We're getting violent back.
right.
So I would not think. I want to say in my lifetime, I would love to see it change around. Do I think it could happen? Maybe. Maybe.
Maybe.
I'm
Okay.
32. Well, I'll be 32. So maybe.
Mm. I'm
Yeah.
with your maybe. I'm with your maybe. I really think
Yeah.
there's a force we have right now. Again, Amir just took it back to the 1960s and was nice enough to not take it all the way back to slavery, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Um, but if we must, fuck it, let's do it. Go all the way back. Go read all the names before the hashtag. Go. A lot of us love Black culture, but not everybody really dives into Black history.
Yes.
And so, with the righteous and the ratchet, look at Black history, look at the Black culture we love today, but also dig deep into the Black history to really understand why we are where we are today with the riots, why it's come
Mm-hmm.
here. There are many, for all of you who have been in quarantine and have been Netflixing and quarantine, there is plenty of documentaries on Netflix also to educate yourselves. There are other platforms and other media hosts that not media hosts, the media like
Streaming
Hulu
service.
streaming
Mm-hmm.
service, thank you, that have a lot of documentaries, a lot of information in there for people to really understand how far this goes. And maybe then, in looking at the stuff on TV or even reading up on it, maybe an idea might spark, maybe something might spark in each person to go and make a change of some sort and contribute something to their own community, and to their own people
Mm-hmm.
as well, and bring everyone together. Again, I think there's been a lot of eye-opening moments with what happened to Mr. George Floyd. And I had to I didn't know this man, right? But I got to know him in those 8+ minutes that they harmed him and killed him. And
Mm-hmm.
I came across one video of him where he was just speaking, just had a little moment to speak positively. And I decided to share that video of him on my IG story.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and not the other video, because for one, the other video is just so devastating. But also because we got to remember this was a human being. Period. End of story. This was a human being, and it just should not have ended up that way. There's a reason why people are angry, and now this has become, the looters and the riots, and I do think it's going to keep happening for a little while longer. And with that being said, I'm not out there with you guys if you guys are listening and you are the ones out there rioting. But if I could say anything to that, try your best to stay safe, come up with a plan with the group of people you are out there with, find safe
Mm-hmm.
spaces too. I mean, just to try your best to come out of there with the same purpose that you went in, because
Mm-hmm.
who's to tell anybody this is not the way to express your anger? You can't do that. No one can do
Intent
that.
is everything. Intent
Yes.
is everything because
Yes.
your intentions set the tone for what your actions will be. So if you
Exactly.
intend on going there to be a part of the plan and
Mm,
helpful, then
mm,
you'll be a part of the positive effect. If you're there to just, oh, well, I'm going to get what I can get while we're here,
right.
then your intentions are not what they're looking for.
Right.
But in terms of if you're there for the positive part and the damn cops want to get crunk,
Yeah.
then go ahead. They intend to whoop their ass.
Mm,
That's what your
yes.
intention needs to be.
Yeah.
Because I've been clapping nonstop for every video I come across where people are jumping the cops after seeing the cops mace people directly in the face, shoot
Yeah.
them with the rubber balls,
Yeah.
punch them, push them. I've seen a video of a cop push a girl so hard to the ground,
I
split the
saw
back of
that.
her head open.
Yeah.
Like literally, and I'm like, the mind you, the commissioner was walking with them while this occurred. So I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
if you're allowing this to happen, that shows us like y'all don't care. So
Right.
y'all want to get crunk? Get crunk
Right.
while with their asses.
Right. Right. Because let me tell you something. If that was anybody else, right? If that was let's say a black man at the young age of 17, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he just happened to have an argument with a white guy or a white girl, all right? And I'm gonna put it a girl because that was a girl who got mushed in her face, okay?
Yep.
And
Mm-hmm.
just in a park, and he would have remotely just smushed her face like that, smushed his face like that. He fell back, broke his head, and died. You know damn well that 17-year-old black kid would have gotten life in prison, okay?
Yep.
Because that was murder, okay?
Well, he might have got shot first. He might have
Or
got shot
that's
first.
right. If the cops
You
would have
know, when they
gotten
come in to
there,
arrest him. Yeah. Oh
right,
wow, you hit her.
right,
Oh wow. Oh, he was
right,
armed. You
right,
know.
exactly, exactly. So to see a cop walking down that street and just smudge, oh my god, it was just so terrible to see how far back that girl went. Like I thought he fucking killed her. I thought he killed her. The
Mm-hmm.
way she hit the floor,
And
I
you
thought
hit
he
her.
killed her.
You heard it like it was like
Yep,
smack.
yep.
Like that. I was like, wow, that really just happened.
Yeah, yeah. I
Yeah.
feel you 100%. I want to thank everyone who tuned in to this episode. I want to specifically thank Amyr for jumping on this with me to talk about it.
You're welcome.
I again, I don't know what change is going to come out of this. The purpose to this was to have conversation, to let my listeners know that we are committed to keep talking regardless of what my race is, what my color is, what anything like that, and what anybody else's should be. Listen, there's conversation to have. We shouldn't
Mm-hmm.
be quiet. We should feel that there is a safe space to tell the truth and speak the truth. And when you have your black friends and family members and best friends and community members living this and feeling it, listen to them and be there for them and see what we can do. That's what this purpose was
Mm-hmm.
for. It was to open dialogue, is to be very transparent, and not just George Floyd, but the bigger picture, because there is a
Mm-hmm.
bigger picture and there's a lot in this. And just so you guys know, I've been asking Amyr to come on my show for quite some time because I do have an intent to bring Amyr on the Double Dose of Raw Talk podcast. And Amyr will be back. Amyr will be back because there
I
is,
will be back. I
yes,
will be back. I
there
mean,
is
I'm doing it now, but sitting in the house. So yes, I will be back.
Amir is going to come back to this platform. But I want to honestly, Amir, I've grown to have a genuine love for you, for one, because you
Oh,
entertain us
thank
so
you. Me
much
too.
on the
Thank
IG
you.
lives. I mean, you've done such a great job, and during this quarantine, never had the pleasure of meeting Amir face to face, but has been so welcoming and just so genuine, with just all the followers and just finding your ways to cope, and helping all of us cope. I'm a
Yes.
firm believer with the coping with music and with entertainment and with just fun people. And even during these tough days, thank
Mm-hmm.
you for finding that balance of righteous and ratchet.
Yes.
You've done a great job with it, and I appreciate you taking your time
Thank
to
you.
come and talk to
Thank
me.
you.
Nothing but love. I will include all possible hashtags, not hashtags, handles on the show description for you guys. If you guys have any feedback, if you guys want to share anything with myself or even Amir, I will have our IG handles there. I will have the show email on as well. And if you have any questions, I'm also going to include in the show descriptions just some resources as well. But yes, any questions, please feel free to reach out to myself and to Amir. I'm gonna put
Yes.
Amir's IG handle also in the show description. This has been I'm not gonna call it a bonus episode. You know what? I'm gonna call it a must sode. This is a must sode. That's what this is. Because we must talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
You will still get your regular weekly dose of Double Dose of Raw Talk, but this was a must. And so thank you so much for tuning in, and we will talk again really soon. Bye.
Peace.